Hey everybody, in this video, I'm going to cover, stop dinging me. Hey everybody, in this video, I'm going to cover all of the, what did I cover? Oh yeah. Hey everybody, in this week's video, I'm going to cover diesel versus gas and my thoughts on the two, pros and cons of both. And I'm going to cover weight and balance of that truck and this trailer combo. I've taken the things to the scales and I'm going to show you the weight and balance of how it all worked out. And I'm going to really just address payload, and I encourage all of you to check your And I encourage every one of you out there to go weigh your stuff and make sure you're within the limits of the vehicle that you're driving and the trailer that you're on. So hope you enjoy. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below or reach out to us via the Contact Us link on our website. Have a great day, everybody, and happy adventures. I also had a ton of questions about why I chose diesel over gas, and I'm going to break that down right now. When comparing diesel and gas engines, there are several factors that you really should consider. Diesel engines offer towing, better fuel economy, longer lifespans, and many exceeding over 200,000, 300,000 miles. But they have longer maintenance intervals, and they have a higher resale value, which is part of the reason we were able to get a new truck at the cost we did, because our resale value of our old truck. They produce more torque, and all those things make these things ideal for towing, which we do a lot of. Like the truck right now is 6 or 8 weeks old. It's got 8,000 miles on it, almost 7,900 and some change. And it has, I think, all but 400, maybe 500 miles of that has been pulling a trailer. So it's done really fantastic so far. But with diesel versus gas, you do have some trade-offs. They come with specialized, aka expensive maintenance requirements like fuel filter services and the diesel particulate filter and the other stuff for that. Plus, maintenance costs are higher when you do get maintenance done. The upfront cost of buying a big diesel motor. On the other hand, gas engines are typically cheaper to buy, but they have simpler maintenance requirements, lower parts costs, fewer emission systems. Gas-powered trucks can also handle typically a higher payload. The downside is gas engines need more frequent oil changes. They tend to have a lower resale value, and they aren't quite as rugged for hard use over time. Hence the reason all 18-wheelers are diesel. Plus, they aren't as fuel efficient as diesel. So why did I choose the diesel? For us, it came down to one major thing: the number of miles we tow each year. I love the extra torque for towing. I love the gas mileage for it. And, going over the mountains and long trips and things like that is very, very, very important to me. I've said this many, many times over. If we were weekend campers pulling a trailer, we wouldn't have this big of a trailer. We'd have a much smaller one, maybe a 23-foot, 25 at most. But I would not have a big diesel truck. I would not have a Super Duty truck. I would have a F-150 probably, or some similar type truck like that. And I would be a weekend camper, and I would be happy to pull my trailer around with a smaller truck, because this truck is cheaper, the rig is cheaper, all the things like that. So I have the big Super Duty because of the miles we use and the endurance it withstands and all the things like that. But again, if we were weekenders and doing this on an occasion, we would definitely have a much smaller truck and a much smaller trailer, because you don't need all the things when you're just in it for a little bit of time. So I hope that helps answer some of your questions. You just got to do your own research, and really depends on what type of towing you're going to do with your trailer and what type of vehicle or what type of trailer you're towing, and the weights and all the things like that. So many people, I've said this till I'm blue in the face, so many people screw up on the payload capacity. The payload is your number one reason, or number one number you need to know. Most trucks can handle, meaning the 14, 15,000 pound towing capacity, that is your hitch, receiver hitch, and all the hardware there can handle that much weight. But the overall vehicle can only handle so much payload, and it's significantly lower than you think it's going to be in most vehicles. So I'm going to go through on my computer screen here. I have a screen recording, so I'll be popping it up on occasion. But what I'm going to go through here is the weight and balance of this particular truck and my particular setup, and why some of the things make sense. And I'm also going to go through the weight calculator that I use, courtesy of Mark and Trish and Brandon. I forget his name, but he made a website that has all the things. If you click on the QR code, if you hold your phone up to there and get the QR code down at the bottom of our screen on our link tree, it shows our website, Amazon page, all of our social media stuff, a number of discount codes for things. But towards the bottom, you'll find the weight calculator, and that's where you can find this weight calculator and make sure you're in the green with all of your numbers if you want to use this kind of guide. I've done a video on this already using the old truck and kind of set up numbers there, but you can go find that video, and it's actually linked right up here in the screen if you want to click on that link. But I break it down in detail of how to weigh, what to weigh, but I'll cover a number of those things here, so you can watch that if you'd like to. But anyway, recording the screen here. So what do you get from your truck straight off the bat? Regardless of the model you have or tow vehicle, it doesn't matter what type of tow vehicle you have. In the driver's side door jamb, there's going to be something that looks like this yellow sticker here, or sticker with yellow on it. Your Airstream or your RV has something very similar to this everywhere you go. So you can see on here your seating capacity, how many it can hold, where they can sit. That means seat belted capacity. And then you see your tire pressure on here, what size tires the manufacturer recommends, and then your cold tire pressure, cold minimum tire pressure. That's one difference from typically on RV compared to mandatory cold tire pressure on a tow vehicle. So my mandatory cold tire pressure is 60 psi in the front, 80 in the rear. The max cold tire pressure on my trailer is 80. And you have to go to your Goodyear or your Michelin tire inflation chart and really weigh your trailer and do the science method to figure out how to weigh and do all those things and figure out the cold tire pressure for your particular setup and what it currently weighs. Again, all that's in that towing video that I've already made. But what I'm really looking for on this spot is my 4,009 pounds max combined cargo should never exceed that. That's the payload number, and that's the number I think most people screw up when they're towing something. Then I look down here, that same door jamb, there's a sticker in there with your VIN number. It tells you when the truck was manufactured, and it's going to give you your gross vehicle weight rating, GVWR, right here. And my gross vehicle weight rating is 12,000 pounds. Then it gives you your gross axle weight rating for the front and for the rear. And you can see those two things, and also gives you, and that's with the tire, the recommended tire that it came with. A couple other numbers on here you may want to know are your axle. So down here it says 3J, that's an axle code, and you can find that in your, if you don't know what size gear ratio your rear axle is, like 331 or 355, it's on that Ford towing guide. And you can just Google that for whatever year you have. So 2024 towing guide, it's going to give you all kinds of data. But in there will be something that looks like this. It says 3J, which matches my 3J here. Tells me I have a 355 if I didn't know that already. All right, also gives you your VIN number and a number of other codes in here for things you may want to look up. So my wheelbase is a 160 wheelbase, things like that. So I can use those numbers, and I can go to that year model towing guide that Ford puts out, which is very good. Other manufacturers do these as well, but I think Ford does it best because they break it down every single vehicle that they have and chassis, and it's a pretty good chart. But I just wish car manufacturers in general would just put all this in the car door sticker and just not have you having to figure out this, that, the other. Just gives you all your data right there in the door jamb, so you always know, particularly on things that are likely to tow something. On the Ford towing guide, I go in here, I find my truck, it's highlighted here, 6.7 liter V8 turbo diesel. I know that I have a 355 axle ratio, so my gross combined weight rating, that's the max amount of weight my truck and whatever I'm towing can handle at any given moment. So I can tow up to 31,000 pounds gross combined. That's everything combined. That's what the truck and trailer and transmission and engine and all that stuff can manage. And that would be pretty stressful to carry that kind of load. But I go over here to the crew cab that I have. I have the 160-inch 159.8 wheelbase with the 6 3/4 box. So I can tow a 23,200 or 23,100 pound trailer. And I see the notes here, 1 and 2. And I go look at that and I see the 18 all-season tires and 18 or 20 all-terrain tires. So my truck has the Bridgestone all-terrain tires, A/T. It's on the sidewall. So I have a 23,100 pound traditional or conventional towing, as you see on this chart here, conventional towing trailer capacity. So with those numbers, I have a little bit of data to put into my weight calculator, and I'll go down here and look at that, and I can show you, this is, I've just screenshotted and put it on here for ease of use, but my curb weight is 9,420 pounds. Now, where did I get that data? That's from the scales. And I did my curb weight after my truck cap was added, after my bed slide was added, and all the cargo that I always carry, tools and things like that. I always have those things in the back. So that's my minimum curb weight. So anything additional to that would be cargo weight. And I'll show you that in the calculator here too. So my curb weight is 9420, and that comes from going across the cat scales. And I get my number here, and you can see what's on my steer axle, you can see what's on my drive axle, and you can see my gross weight is 9420. That's my curb weight. That's with a full tank of gas and me and Piper in it. The only thing missing out of that calculation was Blair. So we have a 9420 curb weight. So my gross vehicle weight rating, as you saw on that other chart, is 12,000 pounds. My gross combined vehicle weight rating is 31,000 pounds, and my payload from that sticker is 4,009 pounds. This truck also has onboard scales, which are awesome. And on your screen there, in the vehicle, you can see the 4,009 number on the screen itself, and you can see I'm still in the green based on what I'm currently carrying or what I was carrying at the time I took this photo. Every one of these blocks is 1,000 pounds, so I have roughly 1,400 pounds or 1,300 pounds of stuff in the truck itself. Added to the base weight of the truck. So concerning the onboard scales of this particular truck, with the airbags, that throws that off somewhat. So I really need, to weigh my truck. So the onboard scales you see with like the 1,300 pounds on there is not exactly right, because the airbags lift off of those scales built into the frame somewhat. So that number is not particularly accurate. So I need to actually go to a scale and weigh my truck to figure out the scale differences. If you were wondering about the math, it's kind of weird. It is kind of weird, but that's simply because of the airbag. Even at 5 psi, it takes some of the pressure off of that, what weight is sitting on that axle, based on the scales built into the truck. So know that if you put airbags on a truck with built-in scales, it's going to throw the scales off somewhat. So know that that's a factor. Also with airbags, know that airbags are not weight distribution hitches. Even though, you bring this thing up and the truck may look level, it doesn't actually distribute the weight across the vehicle like a weight distribution hitch would. So if you are close to your payload capacity or your truck is sagging in the back, and you should be using some type of weight distribution hitch, in my opinion. And if you're new to towing, maybe an anti-sway hitch is something to you, and sometimes those things are combined into one type of hitch, and that's fine too. Newer truck models have an anti-sway technology built into the computer system of the truck, and the braking and the steering and all those type things. So that's really handy. But please look into that. Just understand that airbags do not distribute weight like you think they might, if that's what you're banking on. And I got a couple questions about why do I have airbags on a 350? Agree. When I load my truck on, it does sag, or when I load my trailer on my hitch, it does sag a little bit. Not only do the airbags help level the truck, but they do significantly reduce the bridge joists and the bumps and all that kind of stuff when you hit something really hard, and it takes the shock out of what would be a weight distribution hitch or just being on a ball. So it never bottoms out, so to speak. Those bump stops, if you recall, that when we installed the airbag, there's a little about 3.5 inch long circular bump stop on trucks, unless you put airbags on, but that's what it jams into if it ever bottoms out from your weight. Also, I am a big believer that the weight distribution hitches that are ill adjusted, or they're put on there wrong, I believe that, and someone having to have someone so tight that it causes such a rigid frame right there. I genuinely believe that is a large preponderance of the reasons that all this front end separation is happening, because people are towing with a tow vehicle that shouldn't be carrying the load that they're carrying, and they have to get it level with a weight distribution hitch, they have to put it up so high. Improper setup is what's causing, in my opinion, causing some of the front end separation out there. Not poor craftsmanship by Airstream. So that's just Brad's opinion. So that I know my curb weight, I know my towing capacity from that chart, I know my payload capacity from that chart. So that gives me all the other things. Now, passenger weight. Again, the passenger weight of this curb weight number is me and Piper, but just for safety's sake, I added a couple more people in there. So I had passenger weight of Blair plus 2 more people in the back, might weigh 400 pounds. And I added an additional 500 pounds of cargo, which I don't know what I would be carrying additionally that's 500 pounds, but I added that on here just to give me a total payload that I might ever carry is 900 more pounds of extra stuff in the truck. And then I know from weighing my trailer that my unloaded vehicle weight rating is 6,700 pounds, and my gross vehicle weight rating is 7,600 pounds, and my hitch weight is about 1,400 pounds was the last time I weighed it. And to get the hitch weight, and you can see my options here. You pull up onto a cat scale. The very front part is the steer axle. The middle part is the rear drive axle, and then trailer axles are the long part in the back. There's 2 ways you can do this. You drop the trailer hitch on the front scale and you pull the truck off. So there's nothing but the hitch on there. That helps you give your hitch weight. And you can also see what weight is on this axle and on this axle using the split method. So put the thing right between the tires. Or you can just measure all total hitch weight or all total hitch weight and all total axle weight using that type of method there. So those are some options you have for measuring your particular trailer with what you carry. And I would also recommend that you do that with no water, maybe 50% water and 100% water, just so you can see what your trailer weighs at different weights, and that way you can help adjust your tire pressure based on the Goodyear or the Michelin tire pressure inflation charts. One thing on the cat scales. From my understanding, the scales must be accurate to 1/10 of 1% of the capacity of the scale. Now, if you think those cat scales, they could have the capacity of 200 or 300,000 pounds, so it could have a margin of error of 200 to 300 pounds on your weight ticket. So just understand that it's not precise. The only way to truly get a precise number is to put the individual scale pads under each tire and weigh it all together like that. That's the only true thing you could ever do. So the basic truck that I have, the curb weight that I could find online was like 6,800 pounds. I did not weigh this truck before I put anything on it because I knew I was going to add stuff that was always going to be there. So I wanted a curb weight based on what I truly carry. But the base curb weight for that model truck, according to the internet, is 6,800 pounds. Plus, then you add all the stuff that I have back there. So if you add diesel fuel, DEF, oil, I didn't add the coolant and things like that in the truck, but the bed slide, the truck cap, the carpet, the workout gear, all the stuff out here that I carry in the back, and that's a rough estimate of what all that stuff weighs. And that's what gets me to my 9,400 pounds. And again, that includes me and Piper. So now I have my weights of the truck. I have my weights of the trailer. And again, all this is on that web page. If you scan the QR code, and you can get the weight calculator, estimated payload, and I'm still right here in the green. I still have 1,700 pounds of available payload left. That includes putting my trailer on the truck. So my hitch weight is there, and then all the stuff that I carry in the back, plus an option of 2 more people, plus an option of a few hundred more pounds of things. And I still have 1,700 pounds of payload left. So in reality, the way I'm sitting right now, I probably have 200 pounds of available payload left or more. So that's my base. So if you do this calculation with all of your numbers and any of these things are red or any of these things are close to zero, you have to be very, very, very careful of what you're towing when you go somewhere. I want to compare this real quick to a 250. So the 250, same axle ratio, and I highlighted the high output one here, but if you had the standard one, so they can both carry about the same thing. Depending on the axle ratio you have with a 250, 331 up to a 355, or standard diesel or high output diesel, you range between 15,800 pounds up to 22,000 pound trailer towing capacity. If you recall, my trailer towing capacity is 23,100. So 1,000 pounds less on the tow, or up to 6,300 pounds less on the tow. So it depends on the axle ratio you have and what type of rear end you have. So that's why I've mentioned before, if I were going to get the 250, I would get the upgraded towing capacity, meaning the 350 rear end and whatnot. That helps with that towing capacity. So something to think about if you're going with the 250. That's still plenty of weight to tow this truck and still plenty for the Super Duty. But I want to get into the F-150 real quick because I see a lot of people towing this type trailer or this size trailer with a 150. And I just want to mention this to you real quick because it could be problematic. If I have a F-150 with the absolute max capacity of towing, that means I have the extreme towing package and I have the V6 engine, the 3.5 liter V6 engine with extreme towing capacity and a 355 rear axle gear ratio. You can see on the screen here, I have a 19,400 gross combined weight rating. That's truck and trailer and all the stuff in it. But I only have a 13,500 max or 13,100 max, depending on the length of the truck, towing capacity. So, going from 22,000 pound towing capacity or 23,000 pound towing capacity with a 2 or 350, you're down to a 13,000 pound towing capacity. And your payload, again, back to that payload number, that same truck that can tow that much 13,000 pound F-150, it has a 2445 payload capacity. And you can see on the chart here the other payload capacity. So if you have the big V8 or you have the hybrid or you have one of those other things, the payload goes up and down depending on the model you have. So again, the F-150 with the absolute max things in it, if you compare that number to what I have, and I was trying to tow all the stuff that I carry in the back of my truck with that bed slide, with this trailer, with the hitch weight and all the upgrades I've done, I would be right at no payload capacity left over if I had the strongest F-150 truck. And I bring this up because I see a lot of people towing with that. And while that's fine, again, if we were weekend campers or we were sometime campers, we would have a much smaller trailer and a much less capable truck because, again, we got the diesel and got all the extra stuff because of all the things that I carry and the amount of miles we drive pulling a trailer somewhere. I just think all that setup is much more useful than not. Because a truck that you're maxed out on payload because of all the stuff you're carrying and you're pulling a trailer and you try to do that all the time and you get into hills, like stopping it, going downhill is difficult. Getting up a hill at any speed is difficult. The wear and tear on the transmission and the brakes and the axles and all the things like that combined, that's a huge, huge wear and tear on a truck like that when you're that close to payload. So I want to have plenty of payload left. That way it gives me plenty of room to spare should I ever decide to get a different trailer or ever decide to get something new. I just think all those things are important. So I hope this helps you out determining what your payload should be. I hope this helps you kind of guides you into figuring out what you need. If you have not yet purchased your trailer, decide if you want to buy a new truck and a trailer. Otherwise, use these calculations to figure out what type of trailer you can carry with your particular truck. I found so many people carrying around a trailer that they shouldn't be. So, all right, that's all for now. Thanks for joining. Look forward to seeing you guys on the road, and thanks for joining this multi-part truck series. Everybody, I was editing this video and I had a real quick PS. Since we're talking about weight and balance, if you have purchased a trailer from a dealer and it's straight from the factory, right down there, I don't know if you can see, right down here on your screen door is a yellow sticker. So if you read the brochure, it's going to say the gross weight of your trailer is, the base weight of your trailer is, the hitch weight of your trailer is. It's going to give you that in the brochure. But if you added solar at the factory, or you added a second air conditioner at the factory, or you added some other thing at the factory, that yellow sticker on your screen door of the Airstream is going to tell you the current cargo carrying capacity or the max payload that you can put inside your trailer. Similarly, if you add lithium, or you add additional solar panels, or you add a different inverter, or you add some other dealership add-on, or have somebody like Vinny's or Ronnie Dennis or somebody like that add things to your trailer, you need to go weigh it again, because that's going to diminish the capabilities you have to carry cargo. If I carry, because of all the things I added to this trailer in lithium and inverter and all the things I did to it, if I try to carry 100% water, I am over my payload capacity of this trailer. So just know that if you have added things to your trailer, you need to go weigh it and verify what it weighs, and verify the hitch weight for what it weighs, because the weight and balance have shifted and you've changed the dynamics of your trailer. That's all.